The attacks on some fundamental principles on Catholic morality, but also of elementary common sense, of that nature law written in the heart of all men, believers or non-believers, which has been deteriorating over the time in accelerated and premeditated manner. The attacks against this nature law have been devastating this week. First, an UN commission has accused the Vatican of not doing enough to prevent pederasty. I do not know if it is right or not. I believe that the Vatican has done its part. I ignore if it is not enough. But several have noted that what this is really about under the excuse is to ask the Vatican to accept a gender ideology. In Europe, the European Parliament has passed a resolution not binding on member states, but is very important, which considers abortion as a fundamental right. It rejects consciousness objections to abortion by doctors and hospitals. This is very serious. Moreover, a large group of members from member states have called for sanctions against Hungary, a member of the European Union. Because of his refuse, the Hungarian Prime Minister has refused to implement the gender ideology in schools for children with the excuse of providing sexual education. He said that sexual education is given to young children at home by parents, threats and requests for punishments. And perhaps the most striking thing this week has been the intervention of the official Vatican, official and unofficial, but important intervention at the diplomatic level with the Italy state. In Italy, a law is being debated by its cult with the name of the one who has promoted the sin law. This law is a law of application of a gender ideology that establishes as crime, as punishable offense, which fines or in imprisonment, for example, to those who dare to say the sex is linked to biology, and to say that this is already a crime. That would mean, for example, if a layman says at home to his children and then to the police find out, a priest in the homily or a catechism to children, of course, a document among the Italian bishops, if someone dares to say the sex is linked to biology, will be a crime punishable, even with the imprisonment. Moreover, the sin law obligates the teaching of the gender ideology in schools, even in the Catholic schools, in all schools. We must not forget that there are countries like Canada, for example, where it's already mandatory to teach children to masturbate. Faced with this, the Vatican has protested, saying that there are agreements signed between the Holy See and the Italy government. They guarantee for Catholics in Italy freedom, not only of conscience, but also freedom of expression in those things that are accordance with their moral principles, and also guarantee the autonomy of Catholic schools to transmit ethical principles in accordance with the ideology of these schools, in accordance with the Catholic faith. The Vatican, through number 3, the Secretary of State, has presented a verbal note to protest to Italy embassy before the Holy See. A big fuss, a mess, an impressive chaos has been raised. Everyone reacted, almost everyone, including the President of the Council of Ministers, Draghi, who is an expert, a brilliant economist, but who was not voted by anyone because it was an agreement between the two parties to try to get Italy out of the crisis, and they harshly attacked the Vatican. How dare, they said, interfere in internal affairs of another country? Draghi said that Italy is a secular country and that its parliament is sovereign. But nobody doubts that. Nobody has doubted. The Vatican has not said, you have to legislate on this point of gender ideology according to the Catholic principles or according to nature law. It has not said that. It says there are signed agreements of international ranks between two sovereign states, the Holy See and the Italy state. There are signed agreements, and what we do is to warn you that this law, it is its approval. This agreement will be violated. The agreement are something that the left will never understand, but it is short. It is a problem of reasoning, of judgment. Agreement can be broken. Of course they can. Italy can appeal the agreement with the Vatican. It can denounce them and repeal them. It says that these agreements are a thing of the past. We have to replace them with another, or simply with no agreements at all. Italy can do that. England has done it, for example, by breaking with the agreements it had with the European Union. A country can break an agreement it has with another country. What it cannot do is to breach them. If you want to break the agreement, break them. If you have them, you have to complete with them. I don't know if this is so hard to understand. The Vatican does not intend to interfere in Italy or the UN or anywhere else. It says that in the Italy case, there are signed agreements. It is simple. There are signed agreements. They have to be fulfilled or have to be broken. But if they are not broken, they have to be fulfilled. The bottom line, I repeat, is the inexorable advance of gender ideology. The Vatican has done very well in raising its voice. It has done very well, although the world has fallen on it, but the Vatican has done very well. Of course, it is unthinkable to believe that the Secretary of State has raised a note of protest to the Italian state, knowing what was going to happen, the mess that was being made, and that this has been done behind the post back. Anyone who thinks that doesn't know how the government works, nor the Vatican. The Pope was not only aware of his only supported, otherwise the Secretary of State would never have taken a step. Of course, he had to support and even the request of the Italian bishops themselves. I repeat, the problem is inexorable, advance in gender ideology. Every day we are seeing how it advances step by step. In the church, the last stronghold left to freedom, is the last frontier. Just as the martyrs created, achieved, conquered freedom of conscience, freedom of worship, and even freedom of expression with their lives, and not surrendering to the tyrant who forced them to worship a God they did not believe in. So today the church is almost alone, the last defender of that freedom. The church is made up of sinful men. I certainly belong to the church, and I am a sinner. She is made up of sinners, but the church is holy, and throughout her history, she has defended freedom, and now she is writing a heroic page in defense of freedom, not only in defense of freedom of the Catholics, but in defense of freedom of every man who has the right, for example, to make consciousness objection. If he is a doctor, regardless of whether he's a Catholic or not, and considers that abortion cannot be done because biology says that it is a human being independent of the mother, the church, when she defends freedom, is defending the whole of the humanity. Of course, she is defending Catholics. We must applaud to be grateful for the church is doing. I insist she is not doing it without the permission of the Holy Father. Of the contrary, the Pope is first one to promote all this. We have to thank the Church and the Pope, and we have to continue to support her very especially with our prayers, because the battle is already underway. Until next week, God willing.